Good afternoon. Let me just flip my camera so that you can actually read what's on my whiteboard behind me. Okay, today we're going to be talking about the speaking part one again. We're going to be going through some of the questions for the speaking part one. Hi Susie, how are you today? What are you doing? So we're going to be looking at the questions on here. I'm going to wait for a few more people to come in. Hello, Manuel and Draco. Hi, how are you? So just to let you know about this, first of all, if you want to follow me on YouTube, I put all my recordings of lives that I'm doing and uploading them to YouTube, so you can watch them later too. Also on Instagram and Twitch and stuff like that. On all the socials, my username is @EaselyIdiomas, the same as here in TikTok. Watching you, haha. Oh yes, of course. Have a nice Sunday. Cooking today? Doing anything in the kitchen? Okay, so if you like what I'm doing, like and follow please, and if you want classes in Tenerife, I am at EaselyIdiomas.com. This is my website for the classes that I do in the south of Tenerife, if you presenciales, and classroomgames.net is the website for materials that I make for teachers and of course for students as well. There's stuff on there, games that you can play, things like that you can do to reinforce English. So today we're going to be talking about speaking part one. We've done this before. We're going to be doing some more questions because there are a lot of them. The speaking part one of the Cambridge exams, like the PET and the first certificate, and even the advanced, they all have a speaking part one which asks you questions about yourself and what you would like to, what you do. Some advice, what I'm going to give you first of all for doing these exams is, first of all, revise your spelling. So the alphabet, make sure you know the difference between E and I when you're spelling out things, yeah, because they tend to ask you in this part of an exam what your name is, and they will usually use that opportunity to ask you to spell something so that they know that you can use the alphabet. And it's such a simple thing that it's silly to lose points on this part of an exam, yeah. So I always tell my students E for email and I for iPhone, because the first letter of iPhone is an I, and you say iPhone, you don't say ephone, yeah, you say iPhone. And you say email, you don't say email. So email, iPhone. And then you will remember that this is E and this is I, because this is what people tend to confuse. Others that they tend to confuse are G and J. The difference between G and J. Yeah, G. You can easily remember the difference because if you remember that J is in DJ. Okay, J is in DJ. So this is the J and this is the G. So when you have to think very, very quickly and spell things, spell your name, spell anything like that, spell your address, make sure you revise how to spell your own name, your first name and your apellidos, yeah, your surname, both of them, and also your address might be a good one to practice, because if they do ask you your address and they ask you to spell your street name, for example. So these are good ones to remember and practice for the beginning of the speaking exam, because if they ask you and you then don't know if you mess it up, or you might get flustered and get nervous, and then it might make it harder for other parts of the exam. Hello everyone that's joining now. Speaking part 1. First of all, revise your alphabet. Learn how to spell your first name, and also your surname. If you have more than one surname, then revise both of them. Yeah, and your street address. If you don't remember your alphabet very well, then do these things, yeah, because they will be things that are most likely to come up in a speaking exam. Okay, next. When you're answering any question about yourself, they're going to ask you questions. I have a list on different subjects. I have a list here. So on this one we have, if you can see that, I've mirrored my thing. So when I go this way, it goes that way. Here we have travel and holidays, entertainment, and then here family and friends, and then where you live now and your home country, daily life, education and work, free time, sports, and the future. Now this is a list that I found on the internet, and I just put together these pages. But what happens, what the examiner will have when they do an exam, is they will have a list of maybe 6 or 7, three questions on 3 different subjects, or maybe 9 different questions, and they have to pick 1 or 2 from the list that they have to ask you. Okay, and so they do that for every single person. They will ask maybe 2 or 3 questions, 1 from each subject. So they might just have 3 of these subjects and 3 questions under each subject. But a good idea to practice for these sort of exams is to have a look at all the possible questions and prepare something to answer the ones that you find most difficult. Okay, so you just search Speaking Part 1 questions for your particular exam, and then just have a look through the questions, and any questions that you think that you might find difficult to answer, then prepare something beforehand just in case that you get asked that particular question. Now I'm going to show you a way in which you can make your questions sound more interesting. I've done this in other lives. This is what I use with my students in classes when I explain to them a way to get more points basically in your exams. For anyone that's just joined, then this is my website for classes in Tenerife. This is my website where I upload materials where you can download stuff, games and such, print them off and use them to help you learn English. And all my lives I upload to YouTube, and all my socials, every single one is at Isla Idiomas. Okay, the same as TikTok. I'm only doing lives on TikTok at the moment, but hopefully I'll be getting a new ring light soon, and it's got 3 things on, so I can put 3 different phones on and broadcast to all 3 at the same time. Won't that be nice? YouTube, Twitch and TikTok. Woohoo! Getting there eventually. So, okay, this is what I like as a method. So whatever question you have, okay, so say that's your question, what did you do at the weekend, maybe, or something. I want you to try and answer it using all the question words. So think about why, think about who with. Who with. Think about who, what, why, where. Think about when. Now they're just the 5 main ones. You also have which and how. If you want to use those, I'll stick those there, which, I'll put them. But it's a lot more difficult to use which and how. How often? Maybe, how often? Or just how, como, yeah. Con qué frecuencia, or como. If you need me to speak in Spanish, then just let me know. You can ask me things in Spanish, I do understand. Okay? But other languages, not so much. I'm learning French, so I might understand a little bit of French if there's any French people in. Okay, so say we've got the question that I ask in my class virtually at the beginning. All my students know this at the beginning of every single class, at the beginning of the week, maybe not the second one, I will ask, what did you do at the weekend? Because this is an excellent opportunity for them to tell me about themselves, and also if things change from week to week, they get to speak in the past tense. They're using the past tense, aren't they? What did you do at the weekend? So it practices the past tense in a very natural way, and also they're speaking about themselves. So this is why I do it, just to practice the past tense mainly, and to find out about each other. So if I answered, what did you do at the weekend? If that's our question, what did you do at, how far can I go across this to here? At the weekend. If that's our question, then we're going to try and use these questions to answer it. So I could say what I did this weekend, yesterday, is I went diving. And I could just say that. I went diving. But let's try and make it more interesting. Okay? I went diving is what I did. Why did I go diving? Because I like to see, or to swim maybe, to swim with the fish. Where did I go diving? I went in Playa San Juan. Who with? Well, I went with the Palma Diving Centre. Which, I can use which in this one as well, which is my local centre. And I am a member. Okay. When did I go? I went diving, so I could put in here on Saturday at 12 p.m. Yeah. So now what you have there, instead of just I went diving, which is one sentence, yeah, I went diving on Saturday at 12 p.m. because I like to swim with the fish, or I like to see the fish in the sea. I went in Playa San Juan with the Palma Diving Centre, which is my local centre, and I'm a member. Now this is so much more that you are going to talk about, and so you will get so many more. If you're answering a question in this way in a speaking exam, then the examiner will be incredibly impressed, and you will be showing how you can speak fluently in English. Let me have a look. Okay, thank you for liking TTT. Is that TTT or three cross? I can't see. My eyes are very, very bad. Yeah, I need to put my glasses on in order to read comments. Okay, so that's our first example. So this is a very, very something that you will normally have to answer. Well, what did you do last weekend, or what do you enjoy doing at the weekends? And you can talk like that. So you're using this schema: who, what, why, where, when, which, how, whatever, to try and make your answer more interesting, to make it bigger. Yeah. Also, another thing to mention is when you do speaking exams, then it doesn't matter if you make things up. You can invent answers, yeah, because the examiner doesn't know you. They don't know what you do. They don't know what you did. If you want to make an answer more interesting, you could say anything, yeah. Another point is an examiner cannot judge you on your opinions or your views. So if they ask you, for example, what do you think about recycling or the environment, it doesn't matter if you have a different idea than them. If you don't believe in climate change, and that's what you say in your thing, then okay, it's your opinion. You're entitled to an opinion. They can't give you bad marks based on an opinion if they don't agree with your opinion. So don't worry about saying the right thing, just say things correctly. Finally, maybe not finally, other things might occur to me, but another thing is that if you make a mistake, correct it straight away. Because by correcting a mistake straight away, you are showing that you realised you made a mistake, you're acknowledging the mistake, and you are showing that you actually know what the right way to say something is. Everyone makes mistakes when they're speaking. If I start speaking Spanish now, you'll see that I make a lot of mistakes when I speak Spanish, because there are certain things I just don't get, or don't, even after 23 years, I still make mistakes with género. I say la instead of le, There are so many mistakes, el, yeah, el. I make so many mistakes, but it's because in English we don't have that definition. So we don't have la mesa. It's just the table. So for me, it's harder to grasp that. Things like, especially el agua or el tema or el mapa are things that for English people are really, really difficult, because it's the rule, you have an A on the end of it. So why is it L? Yeah, I now know I know why now. But these are things that are problems for English speakers, which I still make. So when you're speaking, you don't have enough time for your brain to process rules, yeah, sometimes, and it takes a second or two to realise, and it comes out of your mouth faster than you process it. So if you correct your mistake, you're showing that, oh God, yeah, I processed that, and now I do actually know why we say that, or that we say that, so I'm now going to correct it. Okay, thank you for following and thank you for all the likes. Okay, so now we're going to go through the questions. I'm going to pick one question from each subject heading. This is what we did the other day. We'd used the first, about 2 weeks ago, I did a similar TikTok live where we did the first question from everyone on this list. I'll do various lives, and we'll just do one from each because it takes a while to get through them all. So just bit by bit we'll get through the whole list, and I'll just do one from each list. Okay, let's see. Our first one. is from where you live now and your home country. So they might ask you questions on where you live or your home country. Okay, so I'm originally from Manchester in England. Where are you lot from? Can you tell me where you're from? It'd be nice to know where everyone's coming from. I think the majority of viewers are actually from Spain when I look at my stats. But if anyone's from anywhere else, then please let me know. In fact, if you want to answer any of these questions in the comments, then please do so. Okay, I'm from Bilbao, Barcelona. Okay, lovely. I love Barcelona. Madrid as well. I often go to Barcelona to watch concerts and Madrid because it's very cheap for air tickets from the Canaries. We get 75% discount. So Barcelona, Andalusia. I like Andalusia. I went last year down to parts of Andalusia. I like to visit different parts of Spain, so if anyone's got any recommendations for places to visit, I'm thinking Santiago de Compostela next year because I've not been there. Madrid. Hello, Cumbi. I am from Manchester. I'm from Manchester, which is in the northwest of England. Okay, the northwest. Okay. My accent is actually sort of Mancunian, but a little bit softened. So I do have a northern accent, but I lived in London for 8 years before I moved abroad. And so lots of people from Madrid. Nice to meet you too. And I worked on radio. I used to work on radio. I used to read travel news and news on radio in London, around London and the southeast. So I had to go for elocution lessons to soften my accent. So I speak. So in London you say London, but if I were in Manchester I would say London. So London, yeah, it's different. So in the north of England we say Bath. In the south of England they say Bath. So it's more elongated vowel sounds. Anyway, it's all very, very interesting. In Manchester, in the north of England, we say, this is something for you, the 3 meals of the day, yeah, are breakfast. This is what you will learn. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, yeah? Well, in the south, so that's in the south of England. In the north of England, you will find that people will call breakfast the same, but we will call lunch dinner, and we will call dinner tea. Okay, so this is in the north, and this is down in the south. So if you go to any northern places, or even Scotland or places like that, they might say, what are you having for your tea? And tea will not mean the cup of tea, it will mean the meal tea, what you have in the evening, around about 7 o'clock. We have our tea a lot earlier. So this is a difference between the north and the south in England. Apart from the accents, we sometimes have different things in dialects as well. Okay, so let's start with our first question, which is what's the best place to spend a free afternoon in your town? Let's have a look. What's the best place? The best place to spend a free afternoon in your town. Now, in your town. Tell me about your towns. What's the best place to spend a free afternoon in your town? Try and use as many of these as you can in your answer, okay? If you can, put it in the comments. If not, then don't worry about it. I'm going to do mine here, but I'm going to do it as if I'm talking about Manchester, okay? Because in Manchester, there is a museum called the Football Museum. Okay, so what's the best place to spend a free afternoon in your town? And say, well, I would go, or I like, depending on your level, you can use, I would go to see the Football Museum. Who with? With my friends, or with my family, with my friends. So that's our who. So this is who. This is what. It's a football museum. Where is it? With my friends in Manchester city centre. Manchester city centre is our where. Okay, what else can we use? Why? Okay, because there are lots of trophies from Manchester City and Manchester United. Yeah, Manchester City and Manchester United on display. Okay, so rather than just saying I would go to the football museum, I've now made it a lot more interesting. So I would go to see the football museum with my friends in Manchester City Centre because there are lots of trophies from Manchester City and Manchester United on display. And I'm actually taking up a lot more time with my answer. It sounds more interesting, and it's showing that you can use different types of language. Okay, and then you can string together a lot of sentences, a big sentence fluently. So it's showing fluency. Where's the best place to go to spend a free afternoon in Bilbao or Madrid or Andalusia or Barcelona? Yeah, can you tell me? I like, when I go to Barcelona, I like to go to the San Josep, the Boqueria, to try all the different food. I'd like to wander around. I like to go to comedy clubs because there's not any comedy clubs here in Tenerife, and I love stand-up comedy. In Madrid it's the same. There's I remember if you go from Sol down the main street and past the big square, they have a similar market, don't they? They have a similar market where you can just go. I like little old food markets where I can try all different local things. I would go to see the Guggenheim Museum with my daughter in Bilbao City. Really? So maybe Bilbao's going to go on my list as well. I've not been to many places in the north of Spain. I really need to. I've done the south. I'm still missing Cordoba. I need to go to Cordoba. I try to see a different city whenever I can because I love Spain. Okay, so there we go. Any more people want to answer that question? What's the best place to spend a free afternoon in your town? In Tenerife, you could go to Siam Park, which is apparently the number one water park in the world that keeps on telling everyone. You could go to Siam Park with your friends, which is in Las Americas. On a weekday would probably be better because it gets very busy and there might be less people there. And there is a giant water slide called the Tower of Power where you can go down. It's not, to be honest, I've been on the Tower of Power and it's not as interesting as people make it out to be, because when you're actually on the slide you don't see anything and it goes very, very fast. So it's more of it scares people to look up at it and that they're going to come down, but I don't think that when you're on it it's as scary as it looks. So there we go. That's our first question. So that's from the section on where you live, now and your home country. What's the best place to spend a free afternoon in your hometown or in your town? So if you have problems answering this type of question, then try and think of an answer beforehand. Let's have a look. I would like to go to the Alhambra. You know, I went with my friends in Granada because it's the best place in the city. When I went to Granada, I couldn't get tickets to see the Alhambra, so I have to go back. So I would like also to see the Alhambra in Granada, Hispana. I would love to see it. I have some friends that live near Malaga, and they live sort of in a farm above Malaga that I met at a concert I went to last year, and we met in Granada for a few days to have a look around. I love Granada. Okay, daily life is our next section. Where are we? Daily life. We're going to talk about, and thank you for sharing as well. And tell us, so the last week we did tell us about a day you really enjoyed recently. The second question, are you planning to do anything special this weekend? Well, this is about planning now. I just talked about what I did this weekend. I'm planning to do something special. So, are you planning to do something special this weekend? Right, when we say this weekend in English, we're talking about the weekend that is coming, the first weekend, the nearest weekend, this weekend. I think sometime next weekend would be the one after that. Okay, so are you planning to do something special this weekend? Well, I spoke earlier about my dive that I did today. I'm also planning one for next weekend as well. So I go diving most weekends. So I'll talk about something else. I'm going to see my family soon. So I'm going to, if we're talking about planning, we're going to use going to, boya, yeah? Because it's a plan. We won't use will so much. We tend to speak in going to, because going to is a plan, whereas will is either something you're deciding to do right now in the moment, or something that is a prediction for the future. Generally, going to is used for plans. A good example of this, which the best example I think is if I get a phone call now and get a phone call from my daughter, and she says, "Oh, can you go and get some milk? We've run out of milk at home." And I say, "Okay, I will go to the shops and get some milk." So in that moment when I'm speaking to her, I am deciding to get some milk. So I'm using will. As soon as I put the phone down, or I hang up these days like that, I now have a plan. So if I'm speaking to someone else and they say, "Oh, what are you going to do after class?" I will go, "I am going to go and get some milk from the shops." Okay, so that's a good illustration of how to use will and going to. If you're deciding in the moment, at the time, "Oh yeah, I'll do that. I will do that." But once you've decided, it then transfers into a plan. And so if it's something you're planning, we use going to. So are you planning to do something special this weekend? We're going to use going to. Going to use going to. Lots of going to's there, yeah? Are you planning to do something special this weekend? I'm going to talk about in 2 or 3 weeks time, because I'm planning to go to the UK to visit my daughters, okay? I am going to go, because we've got boya, ir, yeah? I am going to go to visit. Every time we got a verb, we're putting a to in between it, yeah? I'm going to go to visit my daughters in the UK. Why? Well, actually, I can't see my daughter in the south in London, so I just put daughter. Unfortunately, I don't really have enough time to get down there. She's at university, and I won't have enough time unless I can sort that out. But anyway, I'm going to go to visit my daughter in the UK and my mum as well. Why? Because she has got tickets to see Green Day. She's got tickets to see Green Day, so I'm going to see Green Day. I'm going to visit my daughter in the UK because she has got tickets to see Green Day. I'm going to watch Green Day with my daughter. When? Well, it will be, in this sense, at the weekend. So we've already answered our when because that was asked in the question. Where? In Lancashire Cricket Ground. Or I could use when to say the time, and at, I think it's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock on Saturday. What I've answered. What I'm going to do, I've answered why, I've answered where, and I've answered when, and I've answered who with as well. So I've answered all the questions in that sentence. So instead of just saying I'm going to visit my daughter in the UK, I'm saying I'm going to visit my daughter in the UK because she has got tickets to see Green Day in Lancashire Cricket Ground on the at 4 o'clock on the Saturday. There we go. Much bigger sentence. Anyone? So glad I stumbled on this live. That's really nice. Thank you, Charlotte. I'm glad you stumbled on it too. Okay. This methodology, if you're learning other languages, if you're learning French, if you're learning Spanish, if you're learning anything, just you can use the same thing. Yeah, if I said it in Spanish, say, voy a visitar mi hija en Reino Unido porque ella tiene entradas para ver Green Day y vamos a verlo en el campo de cricket, no sé, es cricket en español también. A las 4 de la tarde en el sábado. You know, you can use it for any exam. If you're doing a Spanish exam, a lot of these things are not just for English, they're for different languages as well. A lot of the materials on Classroom Games on my website, if you're a teacher of other languages, a lot of stuff you can actually use for French, you can use, because I try to make it pictorial so that people have to think about the words rather than reading the words. Okay? So you've got to remember what the words are. So which also makes them useful for other teachers. So if you have a look on the games, there are one or two. There's one for practicing past tense, which I just can't put in different languages, but I have put the Word document on there so that it can be edited if you want to put it into different languages. Okay. I also, when I do new materials, when I put them on the website, I usually announce them on TikTok. So if you follow on TikTok, then when I put new materials on there, you will be able to see that they're going live. Okay. So our next question. Any of you want to answer that question? What are you going to do at the weekend, or what have you got planned? And please let me know. Our next one I'm going to cover is this, education and work. So we're going to do the second question on there because we did the first one about 2 weeks ago. So the second question, it says, do you prefer... Wait a minute, no, I think we did that question last time. Do you use the internet to learn new things is the first one. Do you prefer working on your own or with other people? Do you prefer working on your own or with other people? Do you prefer working alone, or with other people? Well, in this question we're going to have the with, aren't we? So that's there first of all. The question is, do you prefer working alone or with other people? Well, the what will be whether you prefer working alone or with other people. So it depends, doesn't it? It depends. So I'm quite a social person, if you haven't gathered. Yeah. So I'm going to answer in the sense that I prefer working with other people. I prefer working, so we're restating the question. Do you prefer working alone or with other people? I prefer working with others or other people. I'll just put others because my wrist is very sore today. Yeah. I prefer working with others because, why? Why do you prefer working with others? Because, well, why would one like to work with other people? Maybe because they help you, they come up with different ideas. Maybe because you don't like to do stuff on your own. Maybe because two people thinking about something is better than one. You know, there are various answers you could give. I prefer working with others because I've already said prefer, so I'm going to try and use a different word. I like, because it's different than prefer, I like company. Yeah. And then you could expand by talking about your job. So we could put the where in my workplace. I have some colleagues that I get along with well. Get on with or get along with? So you can say get on with, get on with. These are phrasal verbs. Okay, phrasal verb, get on with or get along with, means the same thing, but I love this one. I'll put get on with well. Just to mention phrasal verbs have 2 or 3 parts. You have the verb part, which in this sense is get, and then you have what's called articles. Well, some places they call them articles, some places they call them other things. I call them articles. Your articles are usually prepositions, but can be other stuff. Get along with. So, for example, you have get on, which means subir or montar. Yeah, but to get on with is different meaning. And you can get on with something, and you can get on with someone, and they mean different things for either one of those as well. If you get on with something, it's like an activity that you're doing, you're just continuing to do, you're getting on with it. You're, for example, I was doing my tax return, or I was writing a project I needed to do, I just got on with it. Get on with someone is to llevar bien con alguien, to have a good relationship with a person. Yeah, so to get on with someone is different than to get on with something. So in this thing, we're getting on with colleagues, which are people, so you get on with them well. Yeah, and that means that you're having a good relationship with them, or you get along with them well. Okay. I really like phrasal verbs. I know a lot of people hate them. I think they're quite very, very descriptive and nice. Let's have a look. Touching the screen. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Thanks, Natalie. Okay, I'm just reading all the... How do you send likes on TikTok? Yeah. You tap the screen. That's how you do it. Okay. So, I mean, and another thing to mention about phrasal verbs as well, get on with it, but you can't get it on. So you can't, if you change, you have a noun phrase, and then you have a noun phrase, get on with someone. Okay, get on with a friend. Get on with my cat. The words my cat, someone, or a friend are called a noun phrase because it's a phrase that is a noun, that is a thing. Okay, but you can also change that for what's it called in English? El subiecto, the pronombre personal, personal pronoun. So if you change it for the personal pronoun, which someone would be maybe him or her or it or them or he or she, yeah, then you can, in two-part phrasal verbs, you can put it in between. So, for example, put on, I can say put on the shirt, or if I change the shirt for it, I can say put it on, or I can say put the shirt on. So with two-part phrasal verbs like put on, not put on, yeah, no. Yeah, put on, it is flexible where you put it or the shirt. Put the shirt on or put on the shirt. Put it on or put... You can't say put on it. You only can say put it on. Whereas with three-part ones, you can't put anything in the middle of it. It always has to go at the end. So with three-part ones, yes, it can go at the end. Get on with it. But you can't say get it on with. And you can say get on with someone, but you can't say get someone on with. So this you can't put anything in between, whereas this you can. You can put the noun phrase in between. You can put a personal pronoun in between. You can't put the personal pronoun at the end on that one, whereas you can put the personal pronoun at the end on that one, which is, I think, where it gets confusing for people. It's just the word order sounds incorrect. Phrasal verbs. You either love them or you hate them. So do you prefer working alone or with other people? What about you lot? Do you prefer working alone or with other people? I prefer working with others because I like company. In my workplace, I have some colleagues that I get along with well, or that I get on with well. This answer is a lot fuller than just saying I prefer working with others. If you do just answer with one little bit, they tend to ask you why. Yeah, because they want you to say more. So if you just do it off the bat, as we say, off the bat, is an expression to mean straight away, then it does make it sound like you know what you're talking about. Okay, our next subject is travel and holidays. Travel and holidays. I like travel and holidays. Do you like travelling? Both when learning language, definitely would prefer groups. Yeah, to be honest, I prefer groups. A lot of people say, oh, I want one-to-one classes. I don't do one-to-one classes because I just don't have enough hours in the day. But my groups are very small. They're usually like 4, 5, 6 maximum. And they tend to, you like to travel. I like to travel as well. We'll talk about travel now. But yeah, I think groups tend to be better for the students because you can do games and you can interact between each other, which is nice as well. Okay, travel and holidays question. Do you prefer travelling by train or plane? That's the question on that. Do you prefer travelling? So after prefer, we have an ing verb. You can also say prefer to travel as well. Do you prefer travelling by train or plane, or by plane? I like both. So I think I prefer to travel by plane. Good day, Sasha. How are you? You prefer by train as well, Charlie. Hi, Sasha. Okay, yeah, I prefer. Why do you prefer to travel by train, Charlie? Why do you prefer to travel by train? Yeah, do you prefer to travel by train or plane? So we're going to answer it trying to use all of these questions. So I love. So I'm going to change the word I use just so that I'm using a different thing to. I love travelling by train. Okay, so that's what. Why? Because you get to see the countryside or the land or the country that you are travelling through. So I need to try and incorporate, or if I can, more of these in. Both are good. Okay. I love travelling by train because you get to see the country. Now, I'm going to talk about something personal, interrailing. I went interrailing with my children, with my daughters. So that's what I did, who I went with, where I in Eastern Europe. Probably about 5 years ago now. Just before COVID. Pre-COVID, about 5 years ago. I could just leave it at that, or I could also go on to talk about how we got a lot of new experiences by using the train, because some of the trains are pretty awful, whereas some of the trains are really nice. So we started in the south of, in Istanbul. We started in Istanbul and then we made our way up and we finished in Prague. And at every point when we went on a different train, the trains got slightly better and slightly nicer, until once we got to Prague, they were amazing with USB sockets and all sorts of things. So that was quite an experience. But in this sentence, I love travelling by train. We're answering our question and we've answered our what. We've answered our why here, because we use because you get to see the country, that's why. And then I'm trying to put a little bit more flavour into my answer by also saying a personal thing that I did. I went into with my daughters, that's what I did. In Eastern Europe, that's where I went. That's who I went with. And this is when I went. So I've managed to use who, what, why, where and when in my answer, and made a nice colourful answer, a nice fluent answer. I love travelling by train because you get to see the country. I went interrailing with my daughters in Eastern Europe about 5 years ago. Have you done any good travelling? Do you have any answers to this? Yeah, have you been to anywhere nice? Interrailing's very, very good. I would recommend it. Do you usually connect you to follow your English class every day? Do I usually connect? I'm not understanding exactly. Do you usually connect? I do about. I don't connect when I'm doing my classes. No, because the students. A lot of my students are younger as well. They're children, and so I can't show. But also in my class, I don't tend to do a lot of board work. We do games in the class, and I prefer that the students are talking, not me. In the future, I will hopefully be, when I work out how to do it, inviting people into the lives. If you are following, then I will invite you into the lives. At the moment, the time I tend to do lives is if at weekends, it will be around midday, so 12, 1, 2 o'clock. If it's during the week, then sometimes at about, this is Canarian time, so it's probably an hour ahead if you're in the peninsula, 7 or 8 o'clock when I finish my classes at around about 7 or 8 o'clock. So your time, it might be 9 or 10 o'clock. On Mondays I start classes a little bit later, so sometimes on Monday, if I have a chance, I will do a class at midday. But my classes tend to be for about an hour and a half. If you don't get to see the classes, you can also re-watch them on my YouTube channel. I do upload them after on YouTube, so you can watch them on there. I don't edit them or anything because it's too much work. I just upload them. It's the same at Isla Idiomas on YouTube as well, and you can see the classes that I've done in the past on there, usually about 2 or 3 days after once, because it takes a long time to upload them. But yeah, I do put them on there if you want to. You're welcome. It's nice that you're here, to be honest. I really like having people here. In the future, if you subscribe or follow me, then I do put notifications on an hour before I go online. So it comes up on your feed. And also I put it on my stories. And I try to announce it beforehand so that you can not miss the class, and so that you know about them. So the story beforehand, and an hour before I go online, then I will put a video on announcing that. If you let me know, if you reply to any of my videos and say what times are good afternoon to everyone, good afternoon to you, then I'll try and work out a schedule where I'm doing the same hours every single day. Or, sorry, not every single day, every single week, to make something more regular. Okay, so our next question, and for anyone that has come in recently or after we started, this is my website address for classes if you live in Tenerife and you want to come to the academy. We do summer camp as well, so if you have children and you're holidaying here, then we do an English summer camp. Classroomgames.net is where I upload materials for you to practice English. We're doing the speaking part 1. We're covering questions that normally come up in the speaking part 1. We're using this schema, okay, to try and answer the questions and make them more interesting. So we're trying to answer the questions using what, why, who, where, when, and sometimes how and which. But what, why, who, where, when. All my social media is at Isla Idiomas. Okay, so YouTube, Instagram, everything at Isla Idiomas. At the moment, I'm just broadcasting lives on TikTok, but hopefully when I get back from England in a few weeks, I will have my nice new ring light and I will be able to broadcast on YouTube, Twitch and TikTok all at the same time, which will be much easier, little by little, little by little, poco a poco. Okay, next question on our sheet is entertainment. Entertainment is here, so we're going to pick our second question on there at random. Okay, how important is TV to you? How important is TV to you? Important is TV to you? So if you have an answer to this question, then put it in the comments. Good Good afternoon, my dear fellow. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. I don't know whether you heard that. I don't know whether it showed up on the thing, but my cat feeder just went off in the other room. So my cat might run in. She tends to come in at this window here. Okay, how important is your TV to you? Or is TV to you? For me, it's not really that important. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't watch a lot of TV. Why? So this is what. This is our what, because it's answering the question. Usually the what's first. I don't watch a lot of TV. Why? Because I don't have a lot of time, first of all, and I don't actually like a lot of what's on TV. I don't like reality TV and things like that, so there's too many adverts, too many noticias. I don't have lots of time, and there are too many adverts. So I can't answer who, because I don't have anyone to talk about in this, so I'm not going to answer who. I've answered what and why. I can't really answer when, because I'm saying negative things. I'm not actually watching TV that often, so, or maybe I could expand on it if I watch TV. If I watch TV, or when I watch TV, I watch Netflix, because it doesn't have adverts. Even Amazon has adverts these days. I hate that. I watch Netflix, or I film. Yeah, so at home. Where at home. Okay, so there I've stuck my where in. I've got a where in, and I've got I watch TV. Netflix at home at the weekend, maybe to stick a when in there. Okay, so how important is TV for you? I could just say I don't watch a lot of TV and leave it at that, but I've made it a lot more interesting by trying to use these words to expand my question. So I'm using them as prompts to expand that. I don't watch a lot of TV because I don't have a lot of time and there are too many adverts. Okay, if I watch TV, I watch Netflix or a film at home. So this makes my answer a little bit bigger, a little more interesting. Do you like watching TV? Meaning, it's very important because it doesn't, not that very important because it doesn't add relevant meaning information to my life. Yeah, I understand that. That's a good answer. Let me just, I have to verify that I'm still here to TikTok. Give me a sec. Okay. Always does that after an hour. When you're on a live after an hour, you get a little slider thing that you have to verify that you're actually still there. Yeah, not really interested in TV. Though, has anyone got any? I like to watch Spanish programs on TV because it helps me. I've been watching Velvet. I don't know if Susie is still here. Who's actually one of my students. She recommended a series called Velvet on Netflix, and I've been watching that to try to just listen to Spanish, and I do like I've watched Casa de Papel, Vis-a-Vis, stuff like that. So if anyone's got any good series that's actually originally in Spanish, then please recommend them. If you want some English ones, if you want to watch something, because what I tend to do is I will put it in Spanish with Spanish subtitles. So if you're watching something, an English series or something, maybe Bridgerton, because they speak very properly. Ignore all the sex, or don't if that's what you like. Yeah, Bridgerton might be good. If you like, I've just watched The Gentleman, which is directed by or produced by Guy Ritchie, Madonna's ex-husband, and that is very, very good. And there's also a series called Girls 5 Ever that's very funny. So if you, as the old TV broadcast, okay. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Carlos. That's really nice of you. Okay, so things like that might be good for you to watch. If you let me know if you like those, if you've watched any of those. But yeah, if you have any Spanish ones to recommend to me, I would appreciate that as well, because I do find that foreign films tend to be better, because it's so easy for English films to be watched by or to get recognised, but it's so much more difficult for foreign films to get recognised. So when you see a film in French or in German or whatever, or Spanish, they tend to be really, really good. Like Volver, fantastic film. It's a really good film. So yeah, if you have anything, then please let me know. Next on our list is family and friends. Where are we? Here we are, family and friends. So our second question on the family and friends is, what do you enjoy doing with your friends? What do you enjoy doing with your friends? Now, if you go out with your friends a lot, easy for you to answer. If you don't, then you might have to think of an answer beforehand. What do you enjoy doing with your friends? Okay, well, I like, so they've used enjoy, so you could say like, love, prefer. Yeah, there's a different word that means the same thing. I like meeting my friends for coffee. Or a beer, yeah. For coffee. Why? Because we can chat about our lives. Okay, well, who is my friends? So this was in the question. This is our who. This is our what we like to do. What. This is our why. Okay, so we're going to try and get in a when and where. We can chat about our lives. Sometimes we meet after class. So that's when we meet, and where, in the local plaza, or we could say town square. Okay, so I've made that a little bit more interesting. That's our where. So we've got a what, a who, a why, a where and a when. So we managed to do all 5. I like meeting with my friends for coffee because we can chat about our lives. Sometimes we meet after class in the local town square or in the local square. Okay, so what do you like to do? Do you like to meet your friends? What do you enjoy doing with your friends? Let me know. Do you have any interesting things that you do? I think everyone tends to just meet up their friends and gossip, really. Gossip. Do we know this word? Gossip. Nice word to know. Chisme. I am living in France. You live in a place. You're living in France, are you? Whereabouts in France are you living? Whereabouts in France are you living, Charlie? My uncle lives in south of France. He lives in Montpellier, or near to Montpellier. But whereabouts in France? Are you living in Paris? Are you living in Brittany? Nice? It's very beautiful in France. I am working. Oh, okay, you're working in France. Excellent. Okay. Family and friends, what do you enjoy doing with your friends? Right, so now we're going, we've got 3 more to do. 3 more. Free time is the next one. Free time. Free time. Second question. Do you have a favourite newspaper or magazine? How many people actually read newspapers or magazines these days? You tell me. I'm not too sure. Do you have a favourite newspaper or magazine? Now, for me, that would be a hard question to answer, so I'd have to prepare something for that. Do you have a favourite newspaper or magazine? Okay. Well, in general, no, because I don't see you. Does anyone actually farm? You're working on a farm. Excellent. That must be really interesting. Growing stuff. I have a hydroponic tower upstairs because I don't have any land. But I really want to grow my own stuff. I have no garden, so a hydroponics tower is what I have. Do you have a favourite newspaper or magazine? No one reads newspapers anymore except online these days. Very rarely. I don't see magazines. Do people? I do have a favourite magazine, but I've not read it in a while. I have 2 favourite magazines. The English one is called Viz. I'll write it here, Viz. And basically it's a magazine that makes jokes. Also, well, there's another one as well. There's Viz or Private Eye. Private Eye is more political, and whereas Viz is just basic humour. Viz is like a comic, so it will have dibujos, yeah, and it has different characters. It can be rude. Whereas Private Eye is more political. And then in Spain, I like El Jueves. El Jueves. What is it? La única revista que siempre sale los miércoles or something like that, isn't it? That's a catch line. El Jueves, because the same reason I learn I buy one El Jueves, and then it takes me about a year to read it because it's the words that you have in it are so, for me, I have to sort of go through and translate, but it's a good way to learn new expressions and new words, like escraches was one I learned, which was a few years ago that was when Rajoy was in power. And I've still got that copy, and it was talking about escraches, I was going, what are escraches? So I had to ask around and look that one up. Anyway, so these, if you want to things to look at in English. Private Eye would do the same for you, or Viz would do the same for you. In Viz, many of the cartoons are actually written using accents, so they're incredibly hard to read. So if you have a higher level of English, then get a copy of Viz. If you're a little bit lower, then Private Eye is probably better, because at least that's written in proper English. Not exactly, I don't read news or magazines, but I have favourite content creators. Yeah, I have favourite content creators as well. Yeah, I really love TikTok. I absolutely love TikTok, as my students would probably, because I talk about it all the time with them. Right, so take that off a sec, because I need the space. Do you have a favourite newspaper or magazine? So I'll write about El Jueves, okay? I love El Jueves. Why do I love El Jueves? Because I can learn new expressions and words in Spanish that I wouldn't normally see, or that I wouldn't normally come across. Now I can't say who, can I? Because you read on your own, so I'm not going to use a who. Where? Well, when did I first come across it? I first saw it about 15 years ago. I can say when it was recommended. Recommended by a friend. So I can say who, I can say a friend. So that's a person, isn't it? So that's a who. We've got a when. We've got a why, because, yeah. And we've got a what, which is what we did in the first place. Which one haven't I used? What, why, who, where. Yeah, haven't used where in this instance. I could mention how often. I only buy one every 5 years or so, because it takes me so long to read through it. Love your handwriting. Thank you, Diego. I love his idiomas because I can learn to pronounce in English. Excellent. Yeah. Is there anything you need to pronounce that you want me to say? Yeah. Okay. So, and your favourite newspaper. This is quite an outdated question, isn't it? They should have more. Who's your favourite content creator? It would be a lot better. Do you have a favourite content creator? I was watching Hidroponía España just before I started the live, because, as I said, I have a hydroponics tower. I'm not very good at growing plants, and I'm trying to grow my own plants. Everything I touch usually dies. So I'm trying to grow plants, and at the moment I have probably about 50% of the plants are growing, so this is good. But I was watching this to learn about hydroponics. I'm growing lettuces, broccoli, cabbages, things like that. The speaking part is done in every level. Yes, but to a lesser degree. So obviously if you're doing the A2, which is the key English test, they will ask you very, very simple questions. If you are doing the PET, which is the B1, if you're doing the Escuela de Idiomas exam, they do something similar in that. I did the B2 in Spanish a few years ago. They do something similar. At the beginning, they ask you 1 or 2 questions about yourself and about things related to you. In Ireland, is better hydroponic. Well, it is I don't have a garden. I don't have soil. And also, I like the fact that I don't have to look after it all the time. It keeps itself, the water going round. Perfect. There are 4 parts in total. It depends on the exams you do. If you're doing the Escuela de Idiomas exam, Then you have the introduction, which is this bit, the part 1. Then you have a monologue and a dialogue. So what they tend to do is they will give like a load of envelopes, and you pick one, and you and your partner, you will have one other person in the exam, and you have to speak on a subject for, depending on which exam, it can be up to 3-4 minutes. And then you have a dialogue where you speak on a subject between the two people. And then in the higher exams, they also give you a mediation task, which is where you get a piece of paper which might have some information on it, and you have to speak about this information or tell this information. So you might get it in Spanish if it's in Spain, Escuela de Idiomas exam. The mediation might be a leaflet in Spanish, and you are told that you have to explain that leaflet to an English person that is living in your building or something like that. Might be on recycling. That's how the Escuela de Idiomas exams tend to be formatted. I don't like those exams as much as the Cambridge exams, because I don't think it's natural to speak for 3 minutes on any subject, especially one where you're speaking in a foreign language. I think that's very, very difficult to do for anyone. The Cambridge exams, they start with this part, the speaking part 1. Then the part 2, you're given a picture. In the PET exam, you're just given one picture and asked to describe it. We did that the other day. There's a video on YouTube of that class. And then the first certificate exam, you're given 2 pictures which you have to compare and contrast. Then after, they ask the other candidate a question about your pictures, and they ask you a question about their pictures. So you have to be listening to what they're saying. In that, you're only really talking for a minute, maybe a minute and a half. You're not expected to talk to extended lengths of time. It's more of a conversation. It's more natural. A good thing to do for that exam is to revise comparative adjectives, because you're asked to compare and contrast, so you use a lot of comparatives in it. Okay, let's have a look at some of these comments a second, because I know that some have gone past. Which expression can we use to divulgador de contenido? Well, content creator would be, no? Content creator, divulgador, what's that? I might have to look that one up. But I would say content creator. What's that, 21? Perfect, thank you. There are 4 parts into 21, no? Okay, yeah. It depends on the exams for different things that you get through. That's it. I took some years ago the PET test, and I did not have the mediation is in Escuela de Idiomas. PET is Cambridge. Cambridge, for me, are by far better exams, because they are, number one, they're recognised all over the world. If you're going to university in England and you have a first certificate, or nowadays if you're going to university and you live in Europe, you can go to university anywhere in Europe, and there are courses that are done in English in Croatia, in the Netherlands, in Germany, in Sweden, in Denmark. They do, in a lot of universities now, they will do courses in English. And to get into any of these courses, you usually need IELTS or first certificate. You need to have a B2. IELTS is the usual exam, but they will accept a first certificate as well, because it's Cambridge. IELTS is Cambridge as well. Is there a word to refer to those who make science or, oh God, what, they disappeared. To make science or serious contents beside information? I don't know. You're a content creator, but I don't think there's really another word to use to make it a serious content. You just say science content or something like that. We don't really have another word for it. A content creator creates content. Serious content, they create serious content. Some days ago, oh gosh, I've just moved my thing. That's it. Some days ago I heard of it and I don't know what it refers to. Thanks for the info. Okay. Yeah, mediation. What's wrong? I don't know what's wrong. Oi! All the comments go, do you think that having a B1 certificate about Cambridge is good enough? Look, B1's good. Yeah. Mis para clases conversacionales tienes un saludo. Sí, yo tengo clases conversacionales. Yo tengo clases en mi academia y los idiomas si estás en Tenerife. Voy a hacer en el futuro cuando yo sé poco más cómo funciona todo porque siempre está diciendo, puedo hacer yo tengo facilidad ahora, tengo que mirar para tener gente en el live, participando en el live también. Yo quiero hacer Okay, let's move on to the next one. I think I've lost where I'm up to now. Sports. We're going to do sports. Okay, 2 more to do. Sports, our second question. Is there a sport or hobby you enjoy doing? Well, I answered this earlier. So, any one of you got an answer for this? Is there a sport or hobby? Yeah, si quieres participar en algunas clases en el futuro, sígueme porque solo la gente que se siguen que puede invitar. Y dime en comentarios o algo de un vídeo si estás interesado y cuando yo pongo un vídeo para anunciar una clase voy a decir alguien quiere participar y puede comentar si quieres participar para que yo tenga en cuenta en mi mente quién quiere venir. Okay, is there a what were we on? Is there a sport or hobby you enjoy doing or hobby you enjoy doing? Well, I spoke about my hobby before. Any sport or hobby? Got to get back to work. I'll join your next class here. Bye bye. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. As a sport or hobby you enjoy doing? Well, I like diving. So I love diving. This is my hobby at the moment. I love diving. Why do I like diving? Because pretty much the same as what I said before. I love diving because I get to see a different world. Where do I go? Around Tenerife and the Canaries. I go further up and I went to Lanzarote to see the Museo Antico a couple of years back. That was very nice. And the Canaries. When I usually go at weekends. So what have we done? We've done who. We've done our what. What is the answer to the question? We've done who. Get to see different weather out there. We've done where. Why. Sorry. This is why, isn't it? Why? Because. We've done where. We've done I usually go at weekends, that's our when, and our who with my local driving school. With would be our who with my local diving centre. Okay, so there's our full answer. So instead of just saying I love diving, I'm saying a really nice fluent answer. I love diving because I get to see a different world around Tenerife and the Canaries, or a different world underwater around Tenerife and the Canaries. I usually go at weekends with my local diving centre. So I'm talking for like maybe 15-20 seconds, and it sounds a lot more fluent using who, what, why, where, when. As I said, if you're learning any language, you can do this. Yeah, if you're teaching as well, this is a great way to get your students talking. You're teaching. Okay, and our final one, we're talking about the future. So if they talk about the future, they're wanting to use. Great job, you. Oh, that's TikTok saying. Okay, and the future, we're going to use will or going to, aren't we? Depending on whether or not it's a prediction or a plan. So do you plan to study anything in the future? There we go. So they're asking, do you plan to study anything in the future? Okay, so they're asking, do you plan? So we're going to use going to. It's a plan, going to. Do you plan to study anything in the future? Well, I'm studying French at the moment, and I plan to study other languages too. Okay, I plan, also, or I am going to, so I'm not using this I am going to study as many different languages as I can. Why? Because so many reasons. I have so many reasons. Okay, because I want to visit places. I want to visit new places. Number 2, because learning languages increases your ability to, actually stops your brain getting deteriorating as you get older. So by learning new languages, you can actually prevent diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. There is research on this. I think that when you visit new places, if you speak a little bit of their language, it's polite, and so you should. As an English person, it's very difficult for me because everyone speaks English. But I'm learning a bit of Greek as well at the moment because I'm going to Greece in summer. I think there are so many reasons, but even if you're not actually going to use a language, if you're never going to use it, so for a language such as Greek, which is only really spoken in Greece, or maybe Croatian or Romanian or something like that, different languages that are only spoken in little areas, it's still useful to learn because it stops you developing dementia and Alzheimer's as you get older. And when you get to my age, I'm 50, you start thinking about these things. Okay, so I want to visit new places. I'm going to study as many different languages as I can because I want to visit new places with my family or with my daughters. To get a who in there. So that's our who. We've got stuck a who in there. We've got our why in there. We've got our what. We could say we've got our where, because I want to visit new places. So this is our where. And when, with my daughters, when I retire, let's say. Retire. So in English, we say retire is hubilad. Yeah. I am going to study as many different languages as I can because I want to visit new places with my daughters when I retire. Okay, nice answer. Any of you want to answer that question? Hello. Hello, Haruna. Nice to see you. Okay, so here we are. This is the schema that the advice I always give to my students. Let me just find my top here. When you're answering any question, if anyone asks you any question, try and answer with as many of these as you can. Try and answer who, what, why, where, when. Practice doing it. Just type in Google, speaking part 1 questions, or personal questions. There are lists and lists and lists of them on many websites. I got this off one website, I can't remember which one now. But it was easy to find. It wasn't difficult. Okay, any question, all good. Yeah, they're just it's personal questions from the speaking part 1 questions. There are lists and lists and lists of them. Yeah, so, and then you just try and answer them. Think in your head, try and answer them out loud as well, so you can listen to your own pronunciation. Try and answer with what, why, who, with, where, and when. Okay, and then you have a nice answer. Remember, always learn how to spell your first name, your surname, and your street address. Because if they ask you to spell something, you don't want to lose marks on something as easy as the alphabet. Know the difference between I and E. I for iPhone, E for email. Okay? I for iPhone, E for email. You will never forget the difference between I and E again if you repeat that to yourself. Okay? They tend to do that. They tend to ask you, especially Cambridge exams, they will do that. They will ask you to spell something. If you are answering a question, the examiner doesn't know you, so you can say whatever you want. If you don't have an answer for something, if you don't know what to say, then invent it. They don't know who you are. They're not interested in whether or not what you say is a lie or the truth. They're not going to give you a bad mark for telling a lie because they don't know. Yeah, they just want to hear you speak English. If you make a mistake, correct yourself. Very straight away, correct yourself. Because we all make mistakes when we're speaking, because we're thinking and it's coming out of our mouth very, very fast. But if you hear yourself say something and you know it's wrong, say, oh, sorry, and correct it to the right thing, because that shows that you realise that it was wrong and that you know the right answer, the right way to say it. Everyone makes mistakes. Even someone that's been learning a language 20, 30 years will make mistakes. So don't worry too much about them if you can correct them. The third thing is, if you have an opinion about something and you don't think it's an opinion that is popular, or you think that the examiner will have a different opinion to you, it doesn't matter. They're not marking you or giving you points based on your opinion. They're giving you points based on your ability to speak English. you can say, so for example, they're asking about recycling and you don't believe in climate change, then it's your opinion. Now, whether or not all the whole world's like that, maybe they're talking about COVID vaccination and you're an anti-vaxxer. Oh, well, I don't like the word anti-vaxxer. You don't believe in taking the vaccine. Then fine, you can say that. If they don't agree with you, it doesn't actually matter because you're doing an English exam, not an opinions exam. Okay, these are all things that you shouldn't get worried about. Don't worry about. Yeah, it is a very good point. Don't worry about things that you don't need to worry about. Just correct yourself. Make stuff up if you need to, and just speak. Speak and try and speak well and come up with different things. Anyway, that's it for today. If you are in Tenerife or you want classes or you want to come, I've got hair in my mouth, want to come on our summer camp, you have kids that are going to be here in Tenerife, then we do a summer camp, isladiomas.com. If you want to see all the materials I do, if you're a teacher, you want to use the materials, or you're a student and you want to download them and play the games with your friends, then classroomgames.net is where I post that. YouTube, I will be posting this video once I've downloaded it and uploaded it to YouTube. Usually takes a few hours or a day or so. So at Isla Idiomas for that. Also on Instagram, also on Twitch, also on X, also on Facebook. Everyone at Isla Idiomas. I made sure I got my name on everything. Okay, so that's a huge relief. I'm afraid to give my own point of view on many things. It doesn't matter. Your point of view isn't what's being examined. Yeah, it's your ability to speak English is what's being examined. So don't worry about that. Okay, I'm going to go now because I'm hungry. I'm very hungry and I need some lunch. So have a nice day, have a nice Sunday, and I'll probably see you again maybe tomorrow. Possibly tomorrow, or if not tomorrow, then on Wednesday. Which exam of English are you currently explaining? Any speaking exam, because this is the speaking part 1. So this is where they ask you personal questions. They do that in the Escuela de Idiomas. They do that in all Cambridge exams, just to different levels. Here is my cat. Oh, hello. My cat's just come in the window. Okay, have a nice day and I hope to see you again soon. Just click the follow button and then you will get notified of my next live. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye bye.